This is Andy Perrault for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by former IBF World Middleweight Champion Darren Barker here in Sheffield. Darren, firstly, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, mate. I'm a big fan of Sheffield. Brings back a lot of memories, obviously having to come here when I was a lot younger in my amateur days in the EIS setup. So, yeah, good fond memories of Sheffield.
It's good to hear. Whilst you're on it, what is your fondest memory with regards to the places you travelled for cities? Obviously, I assume you're going to say when you won your world title, but away from that.
Wow. I mean, the first time I went to Asia was when I boxed in the World Championships in Thailand. That was an eye opener. Never been there before. For the boxing, all right. For the boxing, I mean, there was a few pinball balls. No. Table tennis balls rather. Table tennis balls flying around, but Thailand was an eye opener. I think that would be a standout. I was so fortunate to having travelled the world boxing, but in the amateurs it was every fortnight, every month it was here, there, everywhere. Brilliant.
It's not the way I intended this interview to go, but just whilst we're on it, how much more of an appreciation now that you've retired, not now, but when you did retire, do you have for the sport and what you did achieve when you do look back on it?
It's so funny you say that. Me and Chris Lloyd, like I say, I've just been to the EIS, went over there and watched some of the lads, and on the cab and the taxi on the way back, it was just I was driving home from there, just so kind of proud of myself that I was at some point I'd been a part of that, and you sort of. A lot of nostalgia thinking about, again, what you said, travelling the world was always a big, I didn't go on holidays abroad until I was a lot older. Didn't get to go away much. So to travel the world and doing what I love was amazing. But to go, to be representing your country, what a great feeling. And going back there today, the Sheffield Institute of Sport was just incredible. So immense pride when I think about where I've been and what I've achieved. Just like I still can't believe it.
People never really consider the sacrifices that boxers make to try and reach the top. You can't see your friends, you have to lock yourself away from your family, you can't go away on holidays and that. When you look back now, do you just look at it and think, best decision of my life?
100%. My dad said to me when I was a kid, probably a bit older than a kid, when I was approaching the age when a lot of fighters go the other way and start meeting women, going out, doing this, doing that. And my dad said to me, look, give boxing everything, because all your mates will still be doing the same thing. And not that there's anything wrong in doing it, but everyone, you do the same thing. I've been doing the same thing for the last 7 years. But it was tough. My 18th birthday, my 21st birthday, and my 30th birthday, the three big ones, I was in training camp for all of them. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Just whether it was only a very small piece of history, but my name will kind of live on forever, I guess. Though it's only a little bit of ink in some sort of book or website or something, but my name will be there forever. So that perseverance has been worth it.
Well, you was the first guy to win a world title under Matchroom when Eddie started to take over. So you say that. Do you feel you give yourself enough credit with that in mind as well?
I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it I did it for me and my brother who passed away. I didn't do it for anyone else. So I don't really think about them things. I just sort of think about that one day when I'm gone, my kids can be proud of me and their kids can be proud of me, I guess, and say, do you know that my great-great-granddad was a world champion? Like that's there forever. And I kind of guess I've left something behind.
Would you ever allow your kids to box?
Yeah, good question. Probably not professional, unless they was shit hot. But I would love them. I'd love my son, and this is not being sexist or anything. I kind of would just, my girl has showed no signs whatsoever. She's a brilliant dancer, and I think she's well and truly fixed on that. My youngest is 17 months, so though she's a handful. But my son's 5, and I think I'd like him to do some amateur boxing. I think it's brilliant. I think you learn a lot boxing. I'm from a great family, show me love, respect. taught me the difference between right and wrong. But there's things you learn in boxing that probably give you them lessons best, like respect, discipline, controlled aggression. And I think that's what a lot of youngsters lack today. People like cowards walking around with knives, stabbing people because they're shithouses. They've got no respect, no discipline, and a lot of that stems from their upbringings. Lack of role models, and boxing certainly is a great outlet to be put in front of people that can change your life for in a positive way. And yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for kids getting into boxing, but for the right reasons. I think when you turn professional, unless you're massively driven and doing it for the right reason, don't bother. But I say that as a massive fan of boxing. Don't get me wrong. I just know how hard it is, but it's the greatest sport in the world for so many reasons.
How much of a grounding did boxing give you growing up, especially when not just growing up, when you did make it onto the England and the GB setup? How much of a grounding did it give you?
Yeah, I mean, you hear it all the time that travel broadens the mind. You learn so much about different cultures, etc. And first and foremost, traveling the world was amazing. Representing my country was just like, wow. You can't believe it. But yeah, like I say, I'm from a good family. I had a great upbringing, but learning extra life skills, like I say, controlled aggression and discipline, etc., respect, were things I learned from boxing. So yeah, played a massive part in my life.
And obviously you find yourself commentating, and obviously you've got the show with Chris Lloyd at Matchroom. How does all of that side of things compare to actually fighting?
Well, it's a lot easier. You don't get punched in the fucking face. And that hurts. But yeah, it's great to still be involved in the sport in some capacity, and talking about it is so much easier. I'm sure you're going to ask about the big man sat behind us, Dave Allen. He's got the worst jumper I've ever seen, ever. He's shaking his head right now. But yeah, it was a good experiment for both of us. Like Dave's touched on, I'm so busy, and it's so hard to commit to it. And when you've been so disciplined, like I have for all these years, it's just hard to commit to it. And logistically, it didn't work for us. But at least I had a go. So now, doing the media side of things, it's perfect.
You've obviously briefly touched on it there, and we will just go into it whilst we're on it. I did speak to Dave yesterday, and he said to me when he was in the ambulance after a prize fight for about 40 minutes to 2 hours, he felt like he was paralysed. I'm sure he'd have probably told you that was the first I'd heard of it. What was your reaction to it? What was your whole feelings on the back of how Dave was feeling after a prize fight?
It was frightening. It was really frightening. That whole episode was fucking lived with me forever. It was horrible. But I'm just so glad he's okay. He's my mate, and he'll be my mate forever. Very close. A friendship was really bonded between us. He's crackers, and I guess I am in some respects, but because of how busy I am and etc., I'm just not the right man for the job. I've got so much going on. I've got the 2 gyms in London, I've got this media side of things, plus my lack of desire to want to do it. It's not for me. It's not for me, but it was a great experiment, and one thing I can say out of it, I've got a fantastic mate for life, and I wish him all the best.
Final thing on it, just going back to what I did say, when you found out about how Dave was feeling, or when you was there and he's saying he's paralysed and that, do you think it's the right move for him to come back into boxing, or would you have rather seen him just say, right, I need to step aside now?
Honestly, yeah, probably. I think he's had a great career, though. He's no accolades, I guess, to scream and shout about. He beat a former world champion, regardless of what you say about Lucas Brown. He still beat him. Extremely popular in the world of boxing and beyond. So probably would have been a good time. But he's a fighting man. He's one of the hardest geezers I've ever met. He's a tough man. And if it makes him happy, it keeps him mentally and physically in shape. He never looks he did look $1 million when I had him training, but I think he's more comfortable a bit heavier, but it keeps him mentally strong and switched on and vigilant and happy, most importantly. And that as long as he continues to fight journeyman till the day he hangs up his gloves, then brilliant. But I'm close to him now, and I just want to see him healthy, strong, and happy. But yeah, it scares me. I want him to be safe.
We'll move away from all the Dave chat, Darren, and we'll get on to the reason we're here in Sheffield. Obviously, Cal Brook makes his return to the ring, first time in 14 months. What exactly do you expect us to see from Cal on Saturday night?
I know what I'm hoping for a very impressive performance. I was just saying it earlier. I don't think a win's enough. We can't have another Zarafa. It has got to be exciting. It's got to be clinical and impressive to warrant the big fights at this sort of the tail end of his career. You know, I think if he was to lose again, that's curtains and no coming back. So every fight is potentially his last fight. So he's got to win. He's got to win, but he's got to look good winning to make these big fights possibility. I think he's got to look good, and I think he will. You know, I don't think he's saying all this. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life, physically, mentally. I think it's the truth, and I think he's got to show that now and grab this second half of his career by the horns and make things happen.
What do you know about DeLuca from what you've seen, and what exactly should we expect on Saturday night? How do you expect them to kind of clash or gel?
I think, you know, we'll have a very spirited display from DeLuca. He's tough, he's strong, he's aggressive. But what that does when you've got someone that wants to get on the front foot, it's putty in the hands of Kell Brook, you know, because he's got the ability to easily make DeLuca walk onto one. He's so quick with his reactions still, Kell. And I think when you've got someone on the front foot, it suits Kell down to the ground. So I you know, a big fan of DeLuca, having met him today. The lovely guy, intelligent. He's a boxing man, knows the sport inside out, had great preparation, done a lot of sparring with Andrade. But you know, it's about levels, and Kell is levels above. But 14 months is a long time out, so it has the ingredients for a potential banana skin. I understand why people could say that, but when you look at it and you break it down, Kell's levels above, and I expect a very good performance. Nothing less.
Over this past week or two, we've kind of seen Kell Brook distance himself from Khan, saying he's more interested in trying to win another world title. When you look at the 154 division, no one's really put their stamp on it at the minute, and nobody's really just claiming the titles and holding on to them, kind of swapping between different people. What would you rather? Would you rather see Kell chase a world title, or are you still interested in the Amir Khan fight?
I said that on the show earlier. You know, I can't believe Amir's name's not been mentioned. But that's not going to happen, is it? You know, like, I just want Kell to win this fight and either get an eliminator or somehow slip into a world title shot at super welterweight. I'm no interested in him dropping down to welter. You know, we've seen how weak and flat he is down at that weight, and it's dangerous, in my opinion, this late in his career. So stay at super welter, try and get a shot. The Amir Khan fight's not happening. I've got all the respect in the world for Amir Khan. You know, I wish I could have had half a career that he's had. It's tremendous. The money he's made, the titles he's won, even going back to the amateurs, you know, silver medal in the Olympics, tremendous. But I honestly believe Amir Khan won't have the fight. I have to say, one, because Kell probably doesn't bring anything to the table as of yet, and two, I do think Amir, deep down, and he won't admit it, but I think if he was to fight Kell and lose to Kell, I think for him personally, with the needle they've had and this ongoing feud, it may overshadow his achievements, that one loss. And I think all of the little bits of that are all making for the reason that the fight won't happen. But yeah.
We also, a couple of days ago, saw Liam Smith come out saying that he doesn't feel Kell's reached the heights of his career and fulfilled his potential. I mean, he said if it was possible, he'd love to face Kell. Would that be a fight you'd be interested in seeing?
100%. Love the big domestic fights, and that one's a huge fight that warrants a big arena. a big arena, potentially stadium, depending on the undercard, etc. I think it's a massive fight. Two fighters that have had tremendous careers already. On the, I wouldn't say on the slide, but on the, you know, the last chapter of their careers. But massive fight. Big fan of both of them. I'd love that fight. Love that fight.
And just to work our way through the rest of the card, obviously Kid Galahad facing Claudio Marrero in a final eliminator for Josh Warrington's IBF title once again. What do you expect from that fight?
I was just saying again, that's the potential banana skin for me. Marrero, a very good fighter. Didn't know a great deal about him, if I'm honest. Did the bit of research and looked him up on YouTube, and he's very good. He's a slick southpaw, aggressive, tough, spiteful, ambitious, and without a doubt has the ability, and from what I heard today, the mindset to cause an upset. Because it would be an upset. I think Kid Galahad has a case to say should be stood here as a world champion. I think he didn't do an awful lot of work, but I think he may have done enough early on to nick the fight, but against Warrington. Yeah. But I have him the favourite. But Marrero, though he has lost before, is a dangerous fighter, and yeah, that's the potential banana skin for me.
Obviously, we've got Terry Harper versus Eva Wallstrom. Once again, Darren, what are your thoughts on it?
A good fight. It's youth versus experience. Wallstrom, 39-year-old veteran of so many world title fights, a kind of a flag bearer, if you like, for the women's game. A lovely woman. Bundles of experience, where you got Terry Harper on the flip side. Youth, confidence, sort of nothing to lose attitude because of where she's come from and what she's achieving, and you know what she's doing right now. We've heard that, and I think that's another great fight. I think it really is. Wallstrom just being a bit technical. She's aggressive on the front foot, likes to force the pace of a fight. Not a big puncher, so she will try and hold the centre of the ring. Whereas Terry Harper is the bigger puncher, so she will try and walk Wallstrom onto a big shot. But yeah, I think that fight catches a light quite early. I do.
And finally, just to move away from this, a couple of fights I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, we're about 2 weeks away now from Wilder Fury 2. What are your thoughts on it, Darren? Just break it down for me.
I think more of the same. I think it's going to be very similar to the first fight. Wilder will have moments, no doubt, because of the way he's so ferocious and wills himself into a fight, wills himself on rather, and really is desperate to land shots. We've seen it against Ortiz. He would have lost the majority of the rounds against Ortiz in 2 fights, but got 2 knockouts, you know. But this time, I think out of the 2 fighters, Fury can make the adjustments. Change a team for Fury could be a little worrying, but I just think he has enough boxing know-how to make the adjustments, stay switched on throughout the 36 minutes, and for me becomes a new WBC world champion, and opens the door to again a potential huge domestic dust-up.
Which fight is bigger, AJ Fury or AJ Wilder?
Fury. AJ Fury. Well, look, whoever wins the fight, I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, it's a stupid question on my part, but whoever wins the fight is the bigger fight. I do. If that fight versus Wilder, and was I say on there? You just look down there. Sorry. If that fight didn't happen against Wilder and Fury, I think Joshua Fury is a bigger fight. Though there's been more talk about Wilder Joshua because of Fury's absence for that short while. I just think, again, domestically, it's just massive. And can you imagine the build-up would just be... Well, to be honest, the build-up between all of them would just be electric. And they're the 3 people in the division that I'm most excited about, really. Then Usyk. But we've got Wyatt. It's non-stop. It's chocker. It's a brilliant division at the minute.
Just to move away from them and just quickly get your thoughts on the super middleweights, stroke middleweights. A lot of talk about who Canelo will face next. Who do you think would fare better against Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, if either of those were to get the fight? I know there's a lot of talk about Murata at the minute, but if it was Canelo versus Saunders or Smith, who do you think would be better prepared?
Good question. I think, obviously, Callum Smith has the size advantages, but for me, Billy Joe is one of the best that I've sparred with. He's a tremendous fighter, though it was years ago. I just think he's, you know, a bit like Marmite. A lot of people don't like him for his antics outside the ring, but what a fighter. He's a tremendous fighter. For me, Billy Joe possesses and has more threats to upset Canelo. I think his hand speed is electric. He's kept that throughout his career, and yeah, I just think he has the ability to, out of the two, to cause the upset. But again, big fan of Callum Smith. I just want to give a shout out to John Ryder. You know, I want to mention his name because he deserves a massive fight. The Callum Smith fight won't happen again, but I think John Ryder, for me, deserves a massive fight, a winner out of maybe them or whatever happened, because I think against Smith he proved he's world class.
Well, Darren, we will leave it there.
Cheers, mate.
We've done it. Finally, yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, appreciate hanging around, and thank you for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Cheers, mate.